And dude, it has been absolutely crazy. I mean, we now own a good amount of orcs, and we love the orcs, right? I think one of us even has an orc god, and FMC, who's on stage here today, will have him share his story of the orc god story later on towards the end of this space here. But that's why we want to do this today, guys. So thank you guys for joining us. So yeah, how are you feeling, R2 Dgen?
I'm good. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, man.
We got you.
Oh man, this is a rough and first crack at Twitter Spaces for me. I am pumped to be here though, guys. Yeah, as Maz said, AlphaMint's been a crazy community, and they embrace the orcs like full force. So, getting up on stage here with you guys and doing this is exciting for all of us. On behalf of the AlphaMint community, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, we love it, and we love both our OGs and people who've joined along the way. But I think like I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we love our favorite part is just like it's like old school gaming, right? Where you had like your own informal clans and teams, and everyone's just kind of gone off and both done their own thing and helped each other in our Discord and in their own. So we love to see it. There's a lot of hidden teams we found out there of orc owners.
Oh yeah. And guys, last time we had you guys on was on Benzinga's YouTube channel about 2 weeks ago. It was a great interview. You guys dropped a lot of alpha. Pillaging wasn't live then. I'm sorry, raiding wasn't live then. Raiding's live now. You guys gave us a lot of alpha, but the main alpha was Poof said he will quit his job and dox himself once the EtherOrcs get to a certain level. Poof, are we there yet, man?
No, not yet. Not yet. It's I won't say the level, but you gotta go find that's a reason to go watch that interview to go see what my number is. But maybe by the end of the year, we'll see. We'll see.
End of the week, hopefully.
End of the week, the way things are looking, man.
$2.20 on Zug now.
Christmas coming early for Poof. That would be a nice little surprise.
So we are looking forward to that because then you guys will dox yourselves on camera, and it's going to be a fun party. So I'm excited for that, guys.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, right? We've seen on-chain games. They've become a huge topic of conversation over the last week, more specifically with the Wolf game, right? We've seen Gary V, Beanie, a lot of people just talking about this Wolf game. Can you guys tell us your thoughts about the current projects doing on-chain gaming?
Yeah, I think we all have, and I'm a chatter and like to talk about this stuff. We talk about it a lot. I think what's really exciting, I think that we've found, and I had a little bit of a Twitter post on it, or thread, I think a lot of people we're seeing the rise of Wolf game, and if you're in EtherOrcs or you're in Anonymized, which really isn't a game, but is to me the minting process was a bit of a game and kind of OG. You can look at it and say, well, oh, why are they getting all this recognition and excitement? But I think the reality is it's great for all on-chain gaming because you got Furballs, all these different projects that have kind of come up over the last really 2 months, and each one pushes the technology, I think, a little bit in a different direction. We did, and we can talk about all that. And Anonymized obviously did. Furballs is doing their own thing that's really cool. And then you also have just like what people expect and think that a NFT can do is changing, right? Like if people, whether it's entry point through EtherOrcs, whether it's entry point through Wolfgame, people are saying, hey, like this is actually pretty fun. And it's something completely different, right? Than what most people are used to. So that was always, I think, if you listen to the interview probably 2 weeks ago, we were talking, the hardest part is trying to get people to understand, like, hey, you can do a lot with this, but you can also just use it as PFP if you want and whatever. But like, there's a bunch of like just stuff for fun that you can do in a community. And I think people are starting to get that, right? So I think that's a little bit of what's going on. Wrangler, John, I'm sure you guys have perspective too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like typically, I mean, what NFTs have been are primarily profile pictures, but now since it's kind of evolving, and profile pictures are obviously huge, it's a majority of the space, but there's more things you can do when it's on chain, it's on the blockchain, and of course there's constraints. You can't put a AAA game on the blockchain, but what you can do is have a lot of strategy and have a way to interact with your NFT, add more value to your NFT, and there's really the sky's the limit of what you can do. So what we found with our holders is we've had so many say that we've had more fun with the orcs than they've had with any other NFT in their whole time they've been participating. And just because the strategy adds a whole new realm to it, and when you add in the value and the monetary aspect to it, it just makes it that much more exciting.
Yeah,
Absolutely, guys.
Oh, sorry,
go
Matt.
for it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like my intro to gaming was around the Anonymice and like the See My Cats time, which, like you said, it was there was a process to it and some game theory behind it. But yeah, Orcs really it came out, and AlphaMint did the deep dive into it, and it was crazy. I mean, people were talking into late hours of the night before this thing even dropped, just about like the game theory and doing spreadsheets and how we were gonna pool together. And in a weird way, I in the last couple of weeks I've jumped on as the AlphaMint community manager. I left my traditional career to do so, and you guys kind of kicked off like my belief in the NFT space as like a full-time career. Like, I missed the boat on the whitelist, and I kind of sat on the sidelines watching everyone have so much fun, and it really like gave me this sense of like, this is going somewhere, as a avid gamer and a lifelong gamer. Like, to see this happen in real time with a lot of people that I respect and believe are very smart, I was just like, this is the future. So I mean, kudos to you for really kind of capturing that lightning in a bottle and running with it. So
appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, one thing I could say there is like, it's been it's I guess just like really cool to just be able to do this like as a full-time job. It's like we can really focus on it, build everything we need to build, and make it a lot of fun for people.
So this is like a huge sales pitch to get me to quit my day job. Is what I'm starting to
Exactly.
gather. I'm like,
we're gonna put it on full
here.
court press.
They literally gave me a script to say that. I was reading off a piece of paper.
There's gonna be like 4-dimensional game theory if I can quit my job and just focus on this. I'll just obsess on it all day. It'll just get crazy. So
this space today was actually to get you to quit your job, Poof. This is the whole plan for today. That's exactly what we wanted. So
I got it. I appreciate it.
Guys, so rating is live. Now, let me ask you this. You guys played the game in part 1. We heard that story a couple weeks ago. Are you guys still playing the game now? And if so, give us some strategies that you guys are using.
Yeah, go ahead, Wrangler.
No, I was gonna say admittedly we've just been building these next phases with layer 2 and the allies and the shamans. We are not playing as well as we should be, or have not actively been in it. So I'm kind of pulling a page off of Poof's original minting process, and when he just was terrible at the game himself when we helped design it. So as far you would probably be better off asking our Discord as far as strategy goes.
It's true. They know it better than us at this point.
Yeah, I think especially with like this phase of raids, like I mean, we knew like what the expected values are and like the emission rate of Zug and how that compares to bone shards and all that stuff. But like, yeah, the Discord has some really creative ideas in ways that they're leveraging their orcs. It's really interesting because it kind of like, it's very personal, which is interesting if you think about like what level orcs that you have, and like, are your geared up orcs the most high level orcs? In which case, like, you may be better off either farming them and actually having them produce Zug for your other orcs if you have more than one orc. If you just have one, you can go do stuff. So it's been interesting. But I think, yeah, my strategy is I try to go lock up as many orcs as I can in the longest possible raid. So at least I'm doing something.
Yeah, that's right.
Collecting them.
What I find most interesting is, like, a couple weeks ago, if you had to look back at the original minting phase, you were better off just farming as much Zug as you can and minting as many orcs as you can, not leveling to the higher loot pools to try to get the rare orcs. But now in the past couple days, Orc God just sold for 20 ETH a few hours ago. So if you were able to mint an Orc God, if you read the contract and saw that little Easter egg that we hid in there, you would have been better off, just max leveling the whole time and grabbing a couple of Orc Gods.
Yeah, and we have a story for you guys about the Orc Gods towards the end I want to get to with FMC, who's on stage here. But really quick, for people that, we've been in the game, but we have a lot of new listeners now, right? We see a lot of people, especially in the Discords, talking about, how can I join the Orcs? I want to be a part of this. Do I just buy floor? Do I, buy a high level? Can you guys give us some advice to people that are listening, that want to join the Orcs game, and they didn't start from day one, how they can do it, what they should buy, or give them some advice here of what's the best way to start?
I think it really comes down to what you're looking to spend, what your budget is, whether you're looking to get one orc, whether you're looking to get a couple of orcs. I guess one strategy that we recommend or have seen getting recommended a lot is people buying, if you're buying an orc with a low level, getting it to level 10, pillaging the cavern so that you can get +4 or +12 gear. That would allow you to generate 16 Zug a day. And that's like your very basic entry level strategy. And then from there, you can either buy some Zug to go raiding or start farming from there.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna start to see, and Wrangler kind of alluded to it, is like, from a pure utility standpoint, Floor Orc will always get it done. You can get them leveled up, get them up to 16 Zug production, and 2 of those is just as good as a really, really high level orc. But what we kind of bet on early in the game, and kind of as part of our game theory design, was that, like, just like any other project, we would see a similar value curve for rarity. And I think people are realizing that now, because you look at the market and you're like, oh, there's no 999 tier maxed out orcs with gear for sale, right? So you're like, oh, and it kind of is following more a typical rarity curve. So, but floor orcs always good. Don't hate on the floor orcs. They can produce some Zug, and you're in early. Is what I guess the guidance we give.
Perfect. Is there a guide for them to join? So let's say I'm somebody, like R2D Gen over here, who doesn't have an orc, but he does. Let's say he wants to be a part of it. What should he do after he buys it?
Yeah, you guys got to help me out. Like, I listen to you guys talk about it, and I understand everything that you're saying just because I have a lot of exposure to it in our group. But like, it's a very daunting prospect to the way that it even moved on day 2 of orcs being dropped. I was like, oh my god, I'm so far out of this.
Yeah, I think it's something we're trying to do a better job at, is tying up the messaging and making it more understandable for people. But I guess I would say, generally speaking, and I don't want to lean on them too hard, but our community really does an amazing job. If you join our community on Discord, it's discord.gg/EtherOrcs. You jump in there, you jump in the general channel. I promise you, 10 people will answer any question you have or help you figure out what to do.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a starter guide too that we have in text. And then again, back to our community member, shout out to the Night Talker, who's a mod. He's also making a video that gives some different strategy and kind of profiles it out too. But literally, you can jump in the Discord any time of day and like just be like, hey, I want to jump in. What should I get? And people, because it's fun, right, to help someone kind of strategize and figure out and check the market and be in that position. So it's awesome. Got a great community.
Love that. So, I want to get to a question here. The topic of this space here, EtherOrcs, is it the OG on-chain game? Because we've seen, a couple of tweets from influencers saying this is OG, this is OG. What is OG? It doesn't matter. Tell us a little all about that here.
Ooh, this is a good philosophical one. Wrangler, John, you want to take this or you want me to take this? I feel like I'll just...
I mean, you can take it. I don't know. I haven't been able to find the history book at the local library for the NFTs. So
Yeah, that's the hard
It
part.
doesn't exist.
yeah, I don't know why, but it's not there. So as far as we've been able to tell, I think we quote unquote are. I know if someone can feel free to as far as fully on chain game that we've been able to find. Poof, you have any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah. I think if we look at the lineage, like, I mean, there's a lot of variation in terms of the level of on chain, and you got crypto kitties and stuff like that, which is, a true game, right? But it's not necessarily fully on chain, and all the mechanisms aren't really fully on chain. So I think from a fully on chain standpoint, we are. I think Anonymice are see themselves a little bit differently than a game, but I think you could argue, that they were the first prototype for this kind of like minting game, and then we kind of did our own spin on it and really actually turned it into a game, right? Which now is going to be sustaining, and we're building on top of it, and we're doing it on chain. So I think we are the OG, but I think there's more to it than just being the OG.
That was a very very humble answer. I think I'm going to take the side of you guys are the OGs, and I'll just put that one out there. I haven't read any books on the history of it though, but I think we could probably put that stamp on there for you. But that being that being said, like, I think a lot of people are really bullish on the crossover of like traditional gaming and NFT space, as I alluded to before. And it's something that makes me very excited about the utility in this space and whatnot. Like, obviously the sky's the limit with it, and we're headed towards like a full-on metaverse where people are living in it. But what do you see for EtherOrcs, like, further down? I know that's a tough question to ask, and things can change in a hurry. But like, do you have like a big grand scheme of things picture for this?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'll take it, and then the rest of the team can too, and they know I have like strong, maybe spicy opinions on. Sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. But spicy opinions maybe on the metaverse and stuff. But I think over the long term, we have a roadmap that I would say, and we've talked about it, and we can talk about it here more. But we got a roadmap that has, let's say, 2-ish years of like true content that we have planned out, and obviously it's going to twist and turn and change as we go along. But we've got a pretty robust set of things that we want to accomplish, and we're pretty aggressive about it. But I think bigger than that, if I think about like a bigger picture, I think what the advantage again of being on chain and kind of really embracing decentralization is that the community is going to help build and figure out what you wanted to go do, and the community we're not producing centrally a bunch of coins or gold or whatever. The orcs own it, right? You own a fraction of the Zug economy, right? And what you choose to do with that Zug and with that orc or with your allies, etc. You can go build another smart contract and go plop them in. So I think we're really excited to go see that evolution of both what we're doing and how it connects into what other people decide to do with orcs. And obviously we're open. We're pretty much open to anything. So we are going to continue focusing on building out on chain, but there's a lot of interesting things with sandbox and other things that we at least want orcs to be compatible with. But our longer term vision, I would say, like at the highest level, it's building more a kind of a sustainable, I think, ecosystem um, for EtherOrcs and kind of powered by Genesis Orcs and allies and EtherOrcs, but also starting to have ways for other NFTs and other projects to participate that we want to partner with over the long term. Because that's I think the bigger idea and the bigger vision over the long term is how we get more interoperability. And then we can talk. We can talk about the metaverse and other stuff. I think we're already in the metaverse. I think all the on-chain gaming stuff kind of proves it. So we're in it right now. So I don't think it's some VR thing, but that's just me. And I think without going, now I'm just talking, but I think the one other thing too is just I think what all this is showing us a little bit is so much of games have always already been social. And I think actually having the constraint and limitation of being on chain and what it actually allows you to do. And obviously, we want to do more interactivity and build out more gameplay and all of that. But it's just going to be as much about the game theory, the strategy, the kind of stuff like I think Wrangler and I were talking about this, and John, like, they actually didn't know this game, but like Mafia that you're playing as a kid. Like, it's kind of like that, right? Which is also where like Among Us and other things have become popular. So I think we're going to try and find our way where it's not just it's gameplay and it's gaming, but it's also something that's a little bit of its own thing, right? In terms of what type of game it is. So, anyways, talking on John Wrangler.
Yeah, I think I'll just add one thing to that too. I guess like, obviously this is like, the future that we're all like looking for with Web3 and, the metaverse. It's like, how do we bring all of these things together, make them all work together? And I guess what I'm really looking forward to is like, we have our plans for what we want to do with our game, but one thing that we're releasing soon, PvP. The contract itself is actually pretty basic, but I think it could be a good, I guess, benchmark for people for what they could be doing as well. So, when you're fully on chain, we could make the games ourselves, or some user could just come along, make a game with orcs in it, make a game that has orcs and wolves in it, make a game with orcs, wolves, bored apes, whatever you want to do. Someone could make that thing and bring everyone together. And that's something I think I'm just really excited for to see.
Love that. So, guys, we saw a project who announced that you're going to be able to mint their project using Zug. How do you guys feel about that? And is that something that you see happening in the future with more projects?
No, I mean, we obviously love it. Any utility for Zug and any way Zug is going to get burned is just only good for orcs. We No, we encourage it. We like it. I mean, I think it's a hat tip to us. It's that's another on chain game, and they are doing some cool things with the animation on chain that we're doing as well here in a couple weeks. Once we get animated potions on chain, which is just going to be kind of a consumable for our ecosystem. But no, we love it. We're happy to see any utility for Zug.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm excited because I have my orcs, farming Zug, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. In the world I see this headed is you won't have to sell your orcs absolutely because they're producing Zug, they're doing this, they're doing that. It's just creating this whole economy around it, and I thought that was really awesome to see. Um, what are some of the toughest challenges you guys have been through throughout this whole journey? Because you guys are humble, you guys work hard, you guys are really one of the only teams I've really seen just get to work and get the results fast, and well done as well. So we're curious to hear, tell us, what have been some of the toughest roadblocks?
Yeah, I think this is, at least for me, a pretty easy one to answer. And I'd say it was when we decided to do a contract migration. So, when we built the orcs, we launched everything. I guess like pretty soon into it, we realized like there's so much more we could be doing. And, we had a lot of plans for a lot of things we wanted to do. But I guess we realized very early on, like in the middle of the game, honestly, that what we wanted to do was just not fully possible with our contract. So we decided to do a contract migration basically in the middle of the game. So in the middle of phase one, the first round of the game, we had to press pause on everything, get the contract built to do a migration, build a GUI so that it was easy for people to do migrations. And just the entire process was, I don't like to, I still have nightmares thinking about it, but it was something that, we decided as a team, we wanted to do it when we did it because we knew early on in the game, we had 98% plus of people playing the game, and we didn't want to leave any orc behind. And, it's hard to now. I've checked, there's 20. Yeah, like I'm just happy that we got, it was something the whole team over, but stronger for it, and we can build a lot more cool stuff now.
That's awesome. So, you guys have built this, fairly fast and fairly efficient. How many hours a day do you guys work on this project? And is it, how big is your team now?
Go for it, Poof. It's all you.
All right. You guys are gonna make me feel guilty. I'm not putting as many hours because I have a day job. We probably put in. I mean, Wrangler John and also big shout out. We actually invited him to speak, but I don't think he could. To Bassett, who's kind of our lead mega brain coder. But I probably spend 8 to 10 hours a day. I probably spend like 4 to 6 like focused hours where I can really like get stuff done. And I get up like super early, which is already part of my like routine. I get up like 4 a.m. normally. That's changed because I haven't gotten sleep from this project, so now I actually sleep in, so it's great. But and then probably like 8 to 10 a day, probably in general. In terms of like lightly thinking about it or being in a meeting and actually secretly working on orcs. All right, John and Wrangler. I don't know. What are your numbers?
It's I don't keep track. It's pretty much my family.
I'm like embarrassed to say.
My wife
Yeah.
got mad at me today, so if that tells you any inclination as to how much too much I'm working on it. I actually went on a few years streak working out until I started Orcs, and it's the first time I haven't worked out in a long time, so I'm getting fat and lazy. So yeah, I'm looking for some balance, and we actually, to answer your question more about how much, less about how much I'm working, is we added a full, brought on a team member yesterday as more of a partner, and we're bringing on a few more people. We have two full-time artists right now who are just beasts, and they crank out content. We went from having 15 artists part-time to now full two-time artists that are they're just cranking out more and more content all the time. And we're ogres, which is part of our allies collection. We have 3,000 shamans and 3,000 ogres, 3,000 mages. The actual race will be yet to be TBD, and then the 3,000 after that are the what are they, Poof? I'm drawing a blank here.
Got mages and rogues at the end.
Rogues, that's right.
For everyone's, just so you know, although Wrangler is able to tell the lore and the storyline, he knows nothing about RPG games. He's like, what's a mage? What does a mage look like? I'm like, dude, just like a wizard in a hat, like someone with
I can come up with it off the top of my head, but I don't. I'm aging myself right here. It's been too long since I played that crap and back in the day. So I love it now. So it's fun. I've had more fun doing this lately than I've had in my whole career recently. So, but either way, yeah, it's going back to we're bringing on a lot of people pretty much every week. We've been bringing on new people. So the team is growing as we grow.
Yeah, our overall team size now is what 8 or 9 people total. In terms of
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then I mean the community is so awesome. That's like a multiplier, right, on everything on top of it all. So, yeah.
Love it. So, guys, we've seen Mike Shinoda, Tropo recently bought, Fuck Render, FaZe Banks bought today. How do you guys feel about that? Seeing these bigger names, buy this project, and have you guys been in contact with any of them?
We've talked to Fuck Render on the Discord a little bit, and Tropo just brief messages here and there on DMs, but FaZe Banks no, have not, and just very, very briefly, not really in depth conversations yet. No. I know we have Shinoda, Mike Shinoda. We have talked to a decent amount. He was early days. I think he bought.
He was like an OG. Yeah, he bought really early.
Yeah, we were trying to get him on tonight, so we'll definitely get him on one of the upcoming ones. He's a great guy. He's been a very early supporter, and he loves the Orcs.
Yeah, he's part of Albino Gang, right?
He is, yes, yeah.
I'm still salty that I never minted an albino, and now it's priced out of me. So I was just talking to the team today. I really want to buy an Orc God. I might sell some 2017 Bitcoin to buy an Orc God. So if anyone wants to sell me one, please DM me. I am in the market.
Oh man, dude, and I mean, we saw what a 20 ETH sell for one today, so that's amazing. Congratulations, guys. Um, we have FMC on stage here today, and I want him to tell his story about the Orc Gods because this was one for it's a crazy story. So FMC, I'm gonna have you take over, man. Let him know.
Can I just like really like jump in super quickly with this? And
Yes.
yeah, FMC and I host a morning show every single weekday morning on AlphaMint, and he was going for Orc God one night, and like he was in like ultra focus mode. He had everybody in the Discord kind of like sitting on the sidelines cheering him on, and it didn't quite go his way. I'll let him go into depth with it, but like man, I could feel it in his voice the next day, and we were all sympathizing with him. But it was like, you know, you guys reference community a lot, and you know, it's rallied other communities kind of around the orcs too. So it's really incredible to see that. But I'm going to let FMC take it away, and you know, and go from there.
FMC, you there, bro? Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, he's reconnecting right now. I also just want to poke a little bit of fun at him. We had an ongoing debate for a while about the pronunciation of Zug, and
Yes.
he was adamant that it was Zug. He was yelling it from the top of his lungs. I'm pretty sure he had his kids saying Zug. And I don't think he can hear me saying this right now, but I'm definitely going to let him know that I brought it up. And there's a little poetic justice for us when we hear the team themselves say Zug.
I'm sorry, FMC. It's Zug. It's canonically Zug.
And
but
that's
hey,
why
it's
I
on
asked
chain.
you guys.
You can do whatever you want. Make your own story about it. There you go. It'll be like a derivative.
That's why I asked you guys in the last episode, how do you pronounce it specifically? Because FMC, dude, he told us 100% sure it was Zug. So FMC, it's Zug, bro.
Yeah, I was chanting Zug in my house for a pretty long time, and I have no excuses.
That's so funny.
I guess I have no excuses for that, but you know, my son took to it. So I had a very interesting journey. You know, AlphaMint pooled our orcs early, which I think some other teams had planned, but they were only pairing them up. And by the fact that we pooled our orcs, we were able to do two things. We minted as many orcs if we had just sent both our free orcs farming, but we each got to keep an orc and level it up to max level, right? So everybody in the game everybody in AlphaMint was leveling up one orc to go for the rare loot. Now, we were all debating for days whether we were going to go for Orc God or stop right before and get the 999, which was guaranteed pretty much to the people that did it. A few of us said we were going to go for it, but by the end, I was the only one left who had the cojones because it seemed to be a gas war brewing. MVHQ was talking about they were going to set 10,000 Gwei. People were scared to go for Orc God. But I said, you know what? I feel like this is destiny. I'm going to go for it. That day, and I mean, we're sitting there, we're planning how are we going to do this. I get a tip, and this felt very on brand, almost like some medieval squire had come out of the darkness to tell me a secret and said, guess what? You have to not go to the pillage line because that's going to trip everyone up. And he gave me the instructions on what to do. The problem was he only had half the story because, as you guys know, the code was available to everyone, and everyone knew that Orc Gods were even available before they were announced. And then we knew that there was a special action you had to do that wasn't the normal pillaging to get your Orc God. Unfortunately, this person who was trying to help me out left out the one thing we didn't know, which was you had to claim your level. This is what tripped
Oh
me. Oh my
no.
God. I mean, if you knew, I couldn't sleep for days. Like after screwing this, I was sitting there hammering it. I was like, I had the secret. I was ready to go. I'm hammering it, and it's giving me like 16,000 gwei. I'm like, why won't it let me go through?
Oh no,
And
man, I'm so sorry.
and I mean, it was so brutal. We were all on voice chat. It was happening live. We couldn't figure out why I wasn't going through. And the craziest part, our homie from another Discord, Dangy Wing, who also had a horde going on there, he came into our general and was screaming the instructions in all caps, and none of us saw it because we were on the voice chat, and I was just looking at the Etherscan contract. I was like, turn off Discord, turn off everything. It's you, it's Eden, and the Etherscan contract, and it screwed me. And oh, it's been because here was the calculus, right? I'm gonna have a bunch of basic ass floor orcs, or I'm gonna have one god, right? Like that. Everyone else was able to get rare loot at the other pools along the way. I was risking it all. I was either gonna end up with 8 floors or one god, which would have made up for the
Oh
fact that I
man.
also had 7 floors. And here I am with my floor orcs, still very happy to be earning Zug every day, but it was
Well, I'll tell you this, if it makes you feel any better. The whole team wanted to go for an orc, but none of us ended up getting one ourselves, all through some reason or another. I accidentally at one point set my orc to training to farming for maybe an hour. And I was like, we were all just talking about our orcs with the guys, and like I looked up my orc, and Wrangler was the one who actually pointed it out. He was like, "Hey, isn't that your god or your orc that you're trying to go for the god with?"
oh,
And as soon as I realized, I was just heartbroken.
oh
I was like,
man.
"Man, I'm
Brutal.
never gonna get a god."
Yeah, I think there were 19 of us in the final running, or a few less. I know in the last day there were 19 max
Yeah.
level. You guys talked about the stress from the contract migration. I think that's what everyone was concerned with. There were so many little disparities, it appeared, between everyone who
Yeah.
was max leveling, and I think that's where a lot of the
Yeah,
stress was.
that was it. That the migration combined with the leveling caused us, because believe me, I mean, with gamers and then you add an MFT, the meritocracy and people wanting everything to be fair, they're very passionate about it, and I get it. When you have
Yeah.
a orc god that can sell for 20 ETH and you have that on the line, seconds do matter. So I think that's one learning that we took from this. It was cool to have the risk reward of you get an orc god, or you got a basic orc that just has a club. Those were your two options. So
Well, I think I still have the highest level orc in the game, because I just left him leveling after that day. So I think he was at like 120, but I sent him raiding for bone shards because I think he'll do very well since he's level 120.
there you go.
Something for him, yeah.
We came up. We were just talking about some game theory today for Shamans. We're gonna add a new wrinkle compared to the white paper we released last week, and just we want to add in risk reward. I think that makes it fun and exciting, but we don't want it to be punishing. And the Orc Gods were a little bit punishing for those who did not get the god.
You know what though? I thought you guys struck the perfect balance for risk reward. Like you said, I mean, it was almost a coin flip about what should I do, and that's to me a perfect game, right? There's parity. There's no obvious thing that would have caused everyone to go to one side of the boat and screw it up. So hats off to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the funniest thing to us too, because it's funny you say the number. We definitively thought that like once people figured out Orc Gods, or at least some of the further ones, like it would be like 30, 40 people, because there were, I want to say, going into the end area of the game, whether it's Orc Gods or the +9 like ultra rare gear, they're about like 80 people, and we were sure that like at least 40 were just going to go all the way through and risk it all for the Orc Gods. But I think in the very end, I think there were about 15 of you in that last pool for 10 gods. So that was crazy.
Don't tell free market that. The better the odds are, the more
We know. No, we were equally shocked. Like we kept going. There's going to be at least 20 of us. Like we were all. That's why everyone was anticipating such a gas war. We knew there was going to be a secret, right? We were like, all right, first there's going to be something no one's expecting. That's going to trip some people up. Then there's going to be we were, but yeah, well done, guys, and
Thank you.
yeah.
I mean, that's what makes on-chain games so fun, right? And we got to experience that firsthand, seeing the situations like this, or just, the gamification behind it. So I'm fairly bullish on these games. Guys, so what is next, right? What can we expect next? We have done, the raids are live now. What can we expect next? Can you guys give us some alpha here before we take some questions from the chat?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. There's like shorter term tactical stuff, like pretty soon. It's imminent, and we're thinking about timing, just Thanksgiving and everything for people in the U.S. But we've got L2 as one thing we really want to go implement before we get started with Shamans and everything else, just because the sustainability of the gas cost. It'll be an option. It won't be any tokens or any actual value held on L2. We're keeping all of it on L1, but we're giving it as an option to do some of the more interactive stuff coming up. And then we've got Shamans, which are going to be introducing kind of that class system. So when you think about, they'll be the first of the different classes. They're not going to be able to make Zug, but they're going to have potions and crafting, which will trade for Zug, and they'll be able to raid just like every other orc. So it'll be an interesting, not just an entry point, but kind of a different thing to add into the mix for game theory. And we have some fun ideas about how you can customize and gear and go on journeys with your shamans, which would be kind of a different version of the pillaging dynamic. And we always do this where we add in these last minute like spicy things for fun, and then we get really pumped up about it. So we were just doing that today. And then coming soon after that, or kind of simultaneously with that, we're starting to experiment with PvP. We're going to have that. And then there's going to be, over time, we're going to experiment with more and more activity in the raids. So not just raiding kind of passively, but also starting to go solve puzzles and try and go do more interactivity, which is kind of contingent again on that L2. And then that'll lead into kind of this bigger, broader vision over the longer term. And by longer term, maybe by NFT standards is short. But we want to have more and more interactive, truly interactive gameplay. So kind of exploring dungeons, killing monsters, teaming up, that kind of thing, with some turn-based gameplay. And then the long term, at the end, we do want to have realms and land. That's kind of far out, but or not far out, but it's further out.
That's exciting, man. I'm again, you guys are building so fast, and so we're seeing these things. A lot of projects just talk about a game, and we don't see any delivery. So to see this happen firsthand and experience it is really awesome, guys. I just want to salute you guys for that. Really appreciate that. So let's take some questions now from the chat.
Appreciate it.
Let me pull some people up. While I pull some people up, if you guys R2DGen or FMC, if you guys have any thoughts, please let us know. I'm gonna put some people on here.
Here's a thought. In the last 24 hours, 45,720 Zug have been burned.
Wow.
While 42,210 have been produced. Zug is deflationary before ETHs. Everybody applaud. I think that's amazing.
Bravo. Let's go.
That's fucking amazing.
Are you ready to give it the ultrasound currency stamp?
Yep. Boom.
And thank you. And it's actually like, I think once we get L2 going too, and just more and more, like there's more on the way. So if that's today, just think about it. Zug is, there's no more Zug production. Like there's a max. So
love it.
It's only going to get more deflationary from here.
Man, love it. We have Levi on stage right here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on? Do you have any questions for the org team here?
Man, I'm on stage. I'm gonna rap for you guys real quick. I'm gonna rap for the orcs real quick. All right.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
It has to be about. You got to put Zug in there. I want to hear orcs in there. Zug and Orcs, man. Let's hear it.
Drop the
Zug and
beat.
Orcs. All right, let's get it. Can you hear this beat?
Let's hear it.
Can you hear this beat? All right.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, going hard on 'em. We was yeah, like it's Mark Zuckerberg, man. The metaverse is coming, metaverse is coming. Yeah, we got the orcs. Yeah, we making bands. Okay, yeah, my girl a dork. Okay, yeah, no, I'ma hit it. Okay, she got sport right on. Okay, yeah, I'm going off on top. Yeah, I remember even Ramis. Okay, yeah, no way, going hard, Super Saiyan. Okay, in the paint. Okay, yeah, no go in. Okay, yeah, she give me that brain. Yeah, going on Super Saiyan. Okay, yeah, no killing it. Okay, yeah, I'm a villain. Okay, yeah, I'm meddling. Okay, like the kids, oh Scooby Doo. Okay, running in the paint like oh. Jumping on Jordan, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, bitch going in it, okay, yeah, really, I'm winning, I'm spending this money, I get it, okay, yeah, coming back, okay, yeah, feeling like I'm from the past or something, okay, yeah, back to the future though, okay, yeah, coming in, yeah, okay, yeah, getting it, yeah, I was not expecting this shit, okay, yeah, covered it with, yeah, babe, like, she spending on my dick like that, yeah, I'm coming in rap, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I need the hip hop
I'm in the
everyone here.
orcs, I'm in the orcs,
Hey,
off the top of your, yeah, all right, man, that's it.
good stuff, man. Let's
Yo,
go.
yo,
Beat.
hey, I don't have an org, but guys, I really support you guys, and you know, you guys are dope, man. My YouTube channel is VDEX. I rap, I make raps, and yeah. So yeah, you guys are dope, man. You guys are really
Appreciate that,
dope.
man.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Thanks, man.
That was awesome. We needed. This is why I love Twitter Spaces, man. You just always get something like this, and it makes it awesome. We appreciate that, Levi.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. All right, you guys take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving, man.
You too, man. Thank you, David. What's going on, man? You have a question for the EtherOrcs team? Zug, man.
Zug. That's the only rapping I'm going to do for you guys. That was good stuff, Levi. No, I was on the last spaces you guys did. Great job hiring a marketing manager to get the get the numbers up. Just kidding. We're on a rip today. I was going to ask, can you guys? I just had a request. One, I think I threw that in there. I'm in business in the Discord. I want to know when we're going to get the altar of sacrifice.
David, what was
So I
that?
want to know.
You're gonna get the altar
I
of
had
what?
like in business in the Discord. I would kind of recommend. I'd love it if you guys had a raid or a pillage where somebody could burn a well-known other other NFT in order.
Oh, this is the yeah, that's gonna be far down the road, but just so everyone knows, despite saying there's a certain cost to get me to quit my job. There's a fantasy I have, which is the end boss of EtherOrcs. 5 years from now, you got to burn a CryptoPunk to defeat, and that's the only way to beat it.
Fill me in on the crab. So that's because that's like today. Like, what's up with this crab on the crab beach? The crab boss. Give us some inside scoop on that.
Right now there's a crab boss that's making all of the raids a little bit slower than they need to be for everyone. They could be faster, but there's this crab there. So every time you go on a raid, your orc does a little bit of damage to the crab. When the crab's finally defeated, raids will get a little bit faster. That's basically the giant crab.
Any benefit to being one of the orcs that does damage to the crab?
I'm not sure if we built anything like that into it right now, but I mean, it's always possible. Like everything's on the blockchain, so we're gonna know who did that damage.
Awesome, cool. That's it, man. Other than that, guys, keep up the amazing work. It's been an exciting ride. It's been a lot of fun. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys are coming up with next, as long as it's not baby orcs.
Little baby orcs.
I think we can pretty much rule that out.
Or
right
just
now.
just get it out of the way so that we don't have to deal with a baby orc copycat and see it rip and be worth as much as orcs.
After Shamans, it's Doodle Orcs.
Doodle. All right. I'm going to step off the stage.
Dorks,
Thanks again, guys.
code orcs. Thanks.
All right, guys. Any more questions from the chat here before we wrap this up? If you have a question, send the request and we'll add you guys on here. R2G Gen, FMC, how we feeling, boys? After hearing these guys talk.
Man, like this is normally getting close to my bedtime, but that coming up and rapping on here, man, I'm amped. I'm probably gonna head up to the club after this, so I'm feeling great.
This just makes me more bullish on orcs. I mean, you love hearing the teams go in depth on their projects, and you guys are obviously very competent. So I'm just taking away even more excitement. I got my orcs rating right now. I'm collecting bone shards, and really excited. So
Love it. You probably got more bone shards than most of the team.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
let me ask you this while we're kind of just chilling and waiting, see if anybody else wants to ask any questions. Obviously, on-chain gaming is the talk of the town. Wolf Game was, the only thing that anybody was looking at all weekend. Is there, obviously this spawns a lot of derivatives and a lot of people are rushing games out. Is there anything that's caught your eyes, like away from orcs, that you're interested in looking at, like that you think are kind of pushing the limits of on-chain gaming?
It's a good question.
Good question.
That's like new recently with Beyond Wolf Game. I haven't seen any, but I'm sure there are. So I don't want to say there aren't.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I know you guys are hard at work working
Yeah.
on Orc Game, and like
That's our problem. We're so heads down.
Yeah.
Like even the Wolf Game thing, we're like, oh yeah, wait, what was that? All right, let's go see. And we love to like learn from it, but often like what we want to go learn is not just what they did in the code and stuff, because we kind of got our own thing, but it's more like hey, how do people respond to like different things? Like I think Wolf Game is like, hey, people are willing to go take a risk, and they actually kind of find that fun. So I was like, all right, that's a good learning for us, right? And now we think about that and kind of collect some data off of that. But yeah, I don't know what's live right now. I'm sure there's some interesting stuff.
Yeah. I guess I think there's a lot coming. Like we get, I guess the one thing that is cool being in the space that we're in now, and people starting to, call us the OG games on chain, is like a lot of projects have been reaching out to us and, just telling us what they're doing and seeing if there's ways that we can collab and stuff. And I think there's a lot coming. I don't want to, call out any names just yet until, one thing I think we've really been mindful of, especially with partnerships in general, is just like we want to, see what the code is and make sure, everything's going to work before getting too into it. But I think there's a lot coming. Like we've definitely been in talks with some people that are having their own projects, and I'm excited to see how some of them end up.
yeah, that's amazing. I'm so excited to see what develops in this space, not only with orcs, and I think you guys have a super long career ahead of you and with this game, but like yeah, the entire space in general is just going crazy. So kudos to you for being on the bleeding edge of it. And then the last thing that I had to say before we wrap up, and it doesn't look like we have any other people throwing their hands up, but was just that like you guys managed your community pre-drop so well. Uh, you were one of the first Discord communities to kind of end up, I believe, whitelisting 100% of the drop. And in a lot of ways, a lot of projects ended up following suit. And I think it really kind of hurt their project. And there was just something magical about the orcs that made it work, and your community was so rabid for it. And a lot of the copycats, I shouldn't say copycats because that makes it sound bad, but they tried to replicate it, and it wasn't the same. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, about what happened and why this worked so well, but yeah, that was one thing that really always stood out to me, was just like, God, it was crazy, even just pre-drop.
Yeah, appreciate that. Go ahead, Poof.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna say the same thing, John. But like, yeah, I appreciate that. It's like what we realized is like, we started having we wanted to give everyone 2 orcs as part of the free mint. It was a free mint. So that was like really important to us, because if you just had one, like you wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't be as intuitive to people that like, oh, I could go farm both of them and actually really definitively be able to go make some more orcs and all of that. So we want to make sure everyone had two. And what we had originally was like just a standard whitelist of I think 500 of like the 750 slots. And then we just expanded to the full whitelist because we realized like the public mint just wasn't going to be good for anyone, and it was going to cause this huge gas war. So really, I think that the two big things that we did that made it a little bit different than probably what you see now on whitelist is like one, we didn't have any like set criteria for whitelist. Like we originally intended to do a stealth launch, but it was too late by the time we were going, so that's why we did the whitelist. So it wasn't like, oh, you grind or something for whitelist. It was like the first 500 people were whitelist, and they didn't even know that they were going to be. And then we actually added some things, you know, without telling people, so they couldn't like proactively go do it. That were based on, hey, how much you just were engaged, and talking in the community. So, but it wasn't like a grind. It was just you didn't know that until the very end. So I think that's what kind of made it different. And then the other thing too is we implemented, someone in the community came up with this idea. I can't remember who it was, to actually not start the game until like 4 hours after the minting began. So everyone on the whitelist could get their orcs, get ready, get staked, and then the benefit of being staked wouldn't start until the exact time. So that's what enabled all the like little like minute down to the second kind of strategy for Orc Gods and stuff, because like everyone started at the exact same time. So there's no like gas war per se.
Nice, love that. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. To anybody listening, make sure you guys follow the EtherOrcs Twitter. I posted it here at the top. Join the Discord. That's the best way to just get active with the community. Follow these guys on stage here. You know, they're all great, provided some awesome insight. You know, one thing I realized, guys, is that Anonymize is another big project that I love. I want to see if we can get them both of you guys on stage and just kind of curate an awesome conversation sometime in the future. And the reason I'm saying that is because I realize they have their mice space right now. So that's interesting because I'm sure we would have had some mice join us here today. Um, you know, you guys are both some high quality projects. I love what you guys are doing in the space, and it would be an awesome conversation. But yeah, thank you guys for coming in today. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And I love the idea. We love the mice as well, and we're very close with their team. And you know, whenever we do releases, a lot of times they'll look over our stuff. We'll even you know, we've given them a couple of pieces of advice as well. So it's nice. You know, we have a good relationship with them, and that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Before we close off, FMC, R2DGen, any last words?
Zug zug.
Zug.
Hey,
Zug, zug, guys.
since I'm
Zoog,
still
zoog.
up here, I did. There was one thing I didn't. I feel like should be mentioned. I don't think I heard it in this. Is that these guys did zero royalties for like the first month. It finally like the Discord, the orc owners basically had to like force them to take a royalty to start building out their team. So by far, I think that's like this is the biggest thing that these, you know, I'm so excited to see what you guys can do now that you're not doing it for free.
Appreciate that.
Me too.
Great point. Zug zug, guys. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will record this and post it for anyone that missed it to just catch up on the information going down. We're excited to see what you guys are going to continue to build, and yeah, we will be in the discords. We will be zugging, man. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. This was amazing.